Hi everyone, I really appreciate your continued support. If you wouldn't mind helping me out by subscribing to the channel, dropping a like and a comment, and sharing the video if you enjoyed, I really appreciate that. Thank you and enjoy the episode. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 32 of Backpacks and Stories, and I'm here today with Matt.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
No,
It's nice to see you again. Been a while.
yeah, it's been a minute. Thank you for coming. The pleasure is all mine.
Thank
Um,
you.
the last time I saw you was I don't think I actually saw you the last time I was in town, so it would have been going on 6 years ago.
Yeah, no, we used to work together at the Hollywood Bowl call center, wasn't it? That feels like a lifetime ago. We've had COVID, we've had you traveling everywhere around the world. I've been traveling all over the world. It has been a minute, as you said. I'll quote you there. But
Mhm.
yeah, how have you been? How have you been getting on?
Not bad, not bad. I mean, we had some nice weather here in Montreal. For somehow in May it's gone down to 9 degrees yesterday. Nine
Wow.
degrees, can you believe it? Yeah.
In May, that's crazy. I mean, it is chilly here. It's definitely very windy, but it's not 9 degrees. I'm in t-shirt for or polo for a reason. It's definitely heating up finally. Which of course, having just missed the winter, I'm glad I came back to the UK at the right time
Hmm.
because winter time for me, as you well know, that's not for me. I prefer the warm. As I'm sure, do you prefer the warm too?
Yeah, to an extent. Something that I've thought about a lot over these past years because I was escaping the winter for a long time, and this was the first winter the real first real winter that I'd spent in 6 years, and I think it's something that I need at some point to complete the cycle. But every year, I don't I don't think I need a winter.
No, definitely not. That's my goal for life is to definitely avoid not just having to live through the winter every year, is to maybe have a winter every now and again,
Mhm.
but not every year. Because for me, I don't know about you, Ben, but for me, I spent the whole of summer threatening about winter. I never actually get to enjoy the summer because I'm always just stressing about, oh dear, come September, October, it's going to be too cold. I play tennis. Obviously, I like going outside and exploring, as do you. And knowing that it's going to be too cold or rainy, it's just not. That's what I don't enjoy about the UK for me, and I'm sure you're probably the same, aren't you?
Yeah, it's one of several things. Yeah.
I can imagine. But yeah, look, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. And yeah, as I say, hopefully one day in the future, if I ever, set up my own podcast, or perhaps I'm just local while you're visiting too, maybe we can set up a video for my channel. That's obviously something else we can talk about in the call, of course. Is because you inspired me, and of course as you mentioned earlier before, I've inspired you too, which is obviously really, really cool. So thank you for having me.
No, thank you. The pleasure is all mine, really. So is that something that you've thought about that you might like to have a podcast in the future?
I think for me, with my content creation, I'm always looking for ways to be different. And at the moment, it's definitely become a bit of a trend to just create a podcast. You see it all over Instagram Reels, you see it all over TikTok, you see it everywhere at the moment. Everyone's got a podcast. So it's definitely something that I'd look to do perhaps when the trend has kind of calmed down a little bit. But I'd also want to really consider what is it that I add in value to the travel scene
Hmm.
through the lens of a podcast that isn't already being discussed. Because, like, I'm not sure if you've ever seen my videos before, but what I like to try and do is discuss budgeting and like traveling, while saving money on a lower budget. Not
Hmm.
by any means, rinsing the fact that some of these countries that both you and I visited are obviously cheaper for a reason, like Thailand and Vietnam. They're very, very cheap countries, of course, because the cost of living is low, reflecting the income of
Hmm.
these people. So while I discuss money, I also don't want to, you know, annoy anyone from these countries. In actual fact, towards the end of my traveling, because I realized I was picking up followers from these countries, from the Vietnams and Malaysias, and definitely not Singapore, because that's of course very very expensive country for a reason. But while I was picking up followers from these low income countries, I kind of stopped talking about money as much, because I kind of felt bad that I was there with my camera saying, oh, come here, it's very cheap, it's very affordable, while the chances are that somebody watching is struggling to make ends meet. So I guess where I'm going with this is my content throughout the year I've been traveling has definitely changed in the direction of, it was originally talking about money, and now I kind of trying to get out of that, because I do feel bad. And now I need to really decide, where is my niche going to lie, and what can I offer back to the travel community that isn't going to be offending any locals by saying that your country is very affordable, when to the locals
It's
it
not.
isn't.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing. I'd love to do a podcast. I've got lots to talk about, as you can tell, but it needs to be ethical. It needs to make sense, and it needs to be different. Because if I'm not different, no one's going to follow me. And that's obviously where, where I want to, yeah, where can I be different? That's, but yeah. Have you ever considered doing, because obviously I do the vlogs of all these different places. Have you ever considered doing that?
I actually thought about this the other day. I was reflecting on when I uploaded my first YouTube video. That was back in, that was like 2011, 2012. It was it was like an imitation of Fred. You remember
Okay.
Fred?
Fred.
Like from the start of YouTube, like I don't even want to do an impression. I don't even know if I could do an impression, but he was the guy who spoke in a high pitched voice. He ran around doing like the age of Annoying Orange, you know?
Oh, of course, I know Annoying Orange. This is a while ago.
So
I
it
might
was
not.
no, it
I
was a
might
long
not
time
be
ago.
then.
Long.
Yeah.
So I've always liked the idea of content creation. What you do specifically with travel vlogging and stuff, for me it seems very intense, you know. And we just spoke about this just before, that for you sitting down and having this hour and a half conversation in front of a camera unfiltered is a big thing for you, but for me it's the other way around, you know, being putting on a bubbly persona, because I don't know if people would really watch me in the way that I live my life. I don't know if I could carry a camera around and be this person, you know. So I like the idea. I have a lot of respect for what you do and what other content creators do. Maybe it's something in some way I could do in the future, but in general, I really like these unfiltered conversations.
No, I completely understand, especially when you say about it being intense. You can trust me, having just done, I mean, I was traveling for 215 days, and I've come back with 170 videos ready to go published on my YouTube channel. So when I say it's intense and it's a lot of work, it might not be a 9 to 5, but you're definitely always looking around for what's next. You're always thinking, oh, what can I film? What is that going to be interesting? You're thinking about what you're going to say. You're thinking about, did I say that wrong? Should I retake that? You're thinking about, oh, now I've got to edit this tonight. Do I want to, especially while you're backpacking, you're traveling, you want to be sat around the campfire with your new friends that you've made in Borneo or in the Philippines. You don't want to be sat at a computer editing a video. But unfortunately, if that is what you're passionate about, it doesn't matter. You've got to do it. Otherwise, you're going to get very far behind. And I got into a bit of a rut while I was in, well, where was I? I was in Malaysia the second time. My second visit to Malaysia in February. By this point, I'd done over 100 vlogs, and I was about 10 vlogs behind on editing. And I just said to myself, I don't know how many more of these I'm going to be able to do without having like an extended break, because you want to stay original. You want to stay also interesting, but you also want to be different to the video that you made yesterday. And all of these different things going on in your head, trust me, when you say you think it could be intense, you're not wrong for thinking that, because I didn't really think that until I went and actually experienced it. Because I've made videos for yonks. I've made, you know, there's videos of me on YouTube now private from like back in 2014, you know, so this is a long time going back for me, more than half my life ago. And back then I used to love making videos, but I wasn't doing it every single day without fail. When you work a 9 to 5, you get Saturday and Sunday off for a reason, because if you just go every single day, it does get extremely tiring. Although I didn't make 216 vlogs, if I wasn't vlogging on a day, I was editing it the next day. It's another 4 or 5 hours of work, and posting it, writing descriptions and thumbnails and playlists, etc. It's intense, but it's good fun, and it can be very rewarding, as you know.
So sorry, I just want to clarify. So right now you have 216 vlogs uploaded.
Oh, no. So right now uploaded on my YouTube, I have, I think, 120.
120.
But
and you have another 170 edited and ready.
I could work it out. I'm not 100% sure. What I mean, probably so, because when I flew out to the Philippines in October, I had about 80 videos uploaded, and I filmed 170. So it will be around 120 more to go before. Because what I basically do, even though
it's all edited and ready.
They're all edited and ready. They're all. I can. Let me get it up. I'll show you quickly. I've got it on here, the YouTube Studio app. If I go onto content, you can see here all of these videos that I need to still. I mean, none of the thumbnails or anything are done. I mean, I put a title on there, but that might change. This is, I attend a crazy food bazaar on the first night of Ramadan, and that's going up on the 29th of September. So I've got like a massive backlog. Unless you knew me in person, you'd never know where I was. And I think that's also quite important as well. I can go on to it a little bit later, but I also used to do in real life streaming, and that was obviously showing where I was on TikTok. And one video or one stream I did, it got to 1.2k people currently watching, which was crazy. Hold that many people concurrently was awesome. But that's also 1,200 people that know exactly where you are. And while you're walking around their country saying about how affordable it is, I don't know, man. It got to a point where I was receiving too many messages of people telling me they know where I am and can they come and meet me, that I just decided, right, going forward, I kind of want to have a bit of a backlog for my own safety. Because, you know, although I'm not a big creator by any means, it has definitely gotten to a sizable amount now where people are messaging me saying they know where I am. And it got, for me, I would rather, especially while I'm just out solo backpacking with all my expensive gear, the last thing I want to do is put myself in any kind of risk. So I just made this big backlog, and I guess it's good as well to stay consistent, because I see you post every Friday, right? You've got a podcast every Friday. That's the most important thing, is consistency with this game. You need to show the algorithm that you're going to keep posting, because if you're not going to prove that to the algorithm, they've got no reason to keep promoting your content at the end of the day. So yeah, that's, I guess, where we are. I took a bit of a negative in the weird messages I was receiving and turned it into a positive, which is, I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah, no, it's good, and what you say is very important, because at the end of the day, your life is the most important thing, and goodness forbid that something actually happens, that someone tries something. It's better that you give yourself that level of protection. So but do you not feel like, in a way, you're kind of disconnected, like being 3 or 4 months behind on videos? Don't you want to put up things more relevant to where you are right now?
There is, I've thought about this many times, and of course I still have my TikTok page as well. So my YouTube channel is very, very behind. The video that went up last night was from November. So we say 3 or 4 months behind. We're actually 6 months behind in terms of YouTube, whereas my TikTok is much more of like a, maybe like 2 or 3 days ago kind of thing. In actual fact, now that I'm back in the UK, I'm just posting videos that I didn't post while I was out there. but while I was out there, maybe like 1 or 2 days behind, just so I'm like not in that exact place, but I might still be in the country. So the messages and the comments that I'd be receiving would be relevant when I'm asking for suggestions, not just for engagement, but genuinely to find cool things to do. That's what I love about traveling, is going off of the beaten path. I like going to the places that less tourists go, because of course, if we just take Thailand, for example, everyone's flying into Bangkok. From there, they're going up north to Chiang Mai or the Pai Hole. I'm sure you've heard of Pai before. Then they're going down south. They're going to Koh Tao to get their scuba license on the cheap. They're going to Koh Phangan for the full moon party, and they might make their way to the Phi Phi Islands if they've got the budget for it, because it's very, very expensive. Whereas for me, when I was in Thailand, I went to Trat, I went to Koh Kood, I went to Koh Lanta and Koh Lipe. Those were like the 4 main places that I went. And although they're touristy, they're not half as touristy as the other place. In actual fact, Koh Lanta, I posted a video on TikTok that did all right. And it was because it was a beach in Thailand in January during the peak season with no one else on it, which is for Thailand. Have you been to Thailand before, Ben?
I've been to Thailand now.
You haven't been. I mean, if I'm honest, there's other places I definitely recommend going to before, like the Philippines and Malaysia and Indonesia. I definitely prefer those 3 above Thailand. But if you do go to Thailand, definitely message me about where I went, because you'll see online and you'll see on TikTok about going to Krabi, you'll go to the Phi Phi Islands, you might go to Phuket, and it's like these are just so full of tourism now that you're not special to the locals. I like going to places where locals respect my presence, because they don't see us very often, you know what I mean? Because it's just a working place. And I did a lot of that in Vietnam as well, not so much in Indonesia. I went to China too. That was I mean, there was tourists there, but no British tourists. So the amount of photos I was having, selfies and just people taking photos in China, was really cool as well. But that's just the way I like to travel, is going off from the beaten track. And I guess going back to your first question, how that ties in, is staying relevant to the locations on TikTok, at least getting in those messages and like comments of recommendations was really helpful with where should I go, because the way you know where tourists don't go is where the locals go on their breaks, because they don't want to go for, I don't know, for a Vietnamese tourist or local that lives in Ho Chi Minh or Hanoi. They don't want to go on holiday to Phu Quoc Island, which is like the most touristy island in Vietnam, or Da Nang. You ask them where to go, they're going to tell you to go to Nha Trang, or they're going to say Phan Phi or Mui Ni, which is just, it's touristy, but nowhere near as touristy as like the more the more touristy places, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
You're going to hear that through locals. You Google where should you go to the beach in Vietnam, it's going to tell you the main places. If you want to go to the lesser known, you need to be making friends with the locals. And I guess social media these days is the easiest way to do that.
Yeah, and especially now you have a platform and you have people offering that to you for free, that advice on a platter, you know.
It definitely is very, very helpful, because I'd like to give my honest feedback on these places, and in return I get honest opinions and honest recommendations too. It kind of goes hand in hand, and yeah, it's definitely very handy to have while I'm traveling, for many reasons. Not only that, but also, kind of not feeling so lonely. I'm sure you do definitely have moments while solo traveling, even if you are making friends, you're meeting people. Those friendships that you're making, they don't last forever, as that some will. The special friendships and relationships will, but a lot of the time it's just that turnover of friends that's coming and going. And especially 3 or 4 months into it, you definitely start to not burn out, but you are definitely feeling how can I say, like, tired perhaps of that turnover. You're definitely wanting to make those lasting relationships, and I feel that social media definitely helps you to do that, from like a staying in touch standpoint, but also just to see where each other are in the world. You know, the amount of friends that I have now on Instagram, for example, that who knows, I may never ever see them again. But how we've stayed in touch, you and I, Ben, is through Facebook. How I heard about you doing this podcast was through seeing you sharing it on Facebook. And I guess it's just, it shows that's the perfect way in this generation, 2025, is to be quite
Connected.
present.
Yeah, I mean, you led me into lots of avenues I could take this conversation in, because I do have a lot of questions regarding this. But
Right.
well, okay, we'll get started with, was this something that you expected before you started traveling, in terms of the relationships being short-lived or having these different kind of connections? Was this something that you were conscious of, that it was going to be like that?
You see, not. It's a tough one because my only experiences of solo traveling in the past, really, I mean, I had a relationship before that was 3.5, 4 years long. So of course we was, you know, me and her, we were going on our holidays together. It wasn't really solo traveling. When that, of course, didn't work out, I started either going away with friends. I went to Mexico with my friend Matt. I went to the Dominican Republic with my friend Max, and I went to Morocco with my brother, and I've done loads of America with another friend called Cam. So I've not necessarily solo traveled a lot before that. However, I did have a couple of trial runs where I went to Fuerteventura by myself. I went to Toulouse in France by myself. I went to LA to see a friend called Jordan that I'd met way back, and also Vegas, but I went to Vegas part alone. And I'd also been to Turkey by myself. Now, in Turkey, Fuerteventura, and Toulouse, I've made friends that I still speak to even today. Like not. Do you know what I mean? Like we catch up frequently. We see where we are in the world. We chat. We call. We FaceTime. You know what I mean? We have that kind of. We've made that lasting connection. Now, I kind of expected, if I'm honest with you, that because of these friends that I've made whilst doing these small short trips in Europe and in America, I thought that by going traveling, it would be the same. So it was a bit of a shock, if I'm honest with you, when you start staying in hostels, you get invited out for drinks, you have a bit of a chatter at the bar about, oh yeah, tomorrow I'm going here or doing this, you come with us. You go with them, you spend the whole day with them. Oh, well, tomorrow I'm going to Japan, or tomorrow I'm going to Australia. See you. And it's like, oh, well, it's nice to meet you. And you stay in touch on Instagram, you like each other's posts. But I guess the more and more friends you meet, the more you realize that perhaps it is a bit of a challenge to stay in touch with so many people at once. And I guess it also depends on how long you spend with each person you meet as well, or people that you meet. I definitely have some examples of some longer friendships and some people that I'm still in touch with, but lots and lots of examples of people we just like each other's posts on Insta. That's literally as far as that friendship has developed, unfortunately. But that's traveling. That's the part and parcel of solo travel at the end of the day.
It's a lot of decisions, and it's a lot of trusting your own gut, because sometimes it can be very easy to be swayed by other people. Um, that came to mind when you were talking before about people giving you recommendations and stuff, because sometimes, yeah, it's you need the information, you need the external influence, but at the same time, sometimes they might take you to a place that maybe you would have preferred to have been somewhere else, you know. And sometimes I don't know if you have fallen into that trap, but kind of chased a connection before with someone, or a group of people. I think it can be, and like you say, when you are feeling very solo, very lonely, sometimes it feels natural to go and search those things when you make a good connection, and you don't want that connection to end, you know.
I completely agree. And when you say about how you chase the connection, it's true. There was definitely instances while I was traveling where I was thinking in the back of my mind during, you know, whether it was going out to a bar late at night when I knew I had a video to edit, or I knew I had other responsibilities. Perhaps I had to apply for a visa that night, but oh no, oh, I guess I can go out and we'll do it later, and then by that time it's too late. So you're definitely right there with in terms of being solo, because you are lonely, because you don't know where that next connection is going to come from. If you make what feels like a solid friend or a friendship group, it's no wonder that people fall into that trap of staying with them, even if perhaps they know deep down that they had other plans or had better ideas that in the end they didn't actually end up doing. And if I'm honest with you, I think an example of that in my case is the Koh Rong Islands in Cambodia. Have you been to Koh Rong before?
I haven't been to Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos. No, nothing.
Not been to any of them. Well, I definitely recommend when you do get the chance, Cambodia, Koh Rong Islands. There's two islands. You've got Koh Rong and Koh Rong Sanleom or Sanleom. It's hard to say the name. I don't know what it is. But I basically got caught on the islands because I met so many friends. I met these Swedish friends. I met these friends from Germany, from Italy, from Israel, from America. I met friends from everywhere. And it was just such it. I think I'd spent like 3 weeks there. I had plans to go to Siem Reap. I had plans to go to Phnom Penh and go and explore all of those. But of course, Siem Reap's where the famous Angkor Wat is. And by the time I left Koh Rong, eventually, I realised I only had like 3 days left on my visa. So I decided instead, and if you overstay that welcome in Cambodia, it's big trouble. It's not just a $20 fine at the border. It's you're like banned from coming back and stuff. So I thought, no, I better just get out of here. So I ended up taking a bus to Thailand. Unfortunately, I mean, there's worse places to take a bus to, I know, but it's just what you mean. You do definitely fall into that that trap of wanting to hang out with people, chasing that connection, as you say so right. And I must say, in that three-week period, I think from that 3 week period, I think I made about 6 vlogs for my YouTube channel. So again, it's like in the back of your mind, you've got other responsibilities, but you've met friends, you've met people along the way you just don't want to let go of. And I guess eventually it's visas that really break that apart.
Yeah, man, it's a lot. It's a lot to manage because, like you say, you do have responsibilities. You do have to take care of yourself. But it can be a trap. Definitely, it can be a trap.
For sure.
So where this came to mind because you said it just before we started. So where is your favorite place that you visited in the past year?
In the past year, it doesn't take me long.
If I give you a top 5.
Top 5, my favorite. Are we talking like countries or actual places within?
We'll go for places within the countries.
What? Okay. I can't. Can I start from number 1 and work my way backwards, kind of thing, or does it need to be like an Olympic ceremony?
It doesn't even have to be in order, but if you want to start with number 1.
Number 1, hands down, Langkawi. I make that no secret. Langkawi is a beautiful island it's the Straits of Malacca, which is the ocean that kind of starts down at Singapore, works its way up to Thailand. So you can imagine it's not in the Gulf of Thailand, that's the other side, but it's on that. I don't know how to really picture it, but it's an island in Malaysia. The food is great. The people there are absolutely wonderful. I can name you 15 friends that I made in Langkawi, whether it's Akil or Mo or Azzy or I met so many people there. A nice guy called Man as well, Lukman. We call him Man. He's a really nice guy. He actually owns a coffee shop called Kopi Senja. So if you're ever in Langkawi, go and see him there. Which is just genuinely the nicest people, giving free coffee, taking me around the island on the back of his scooter, and taking me to their favorite restaurants and not letting me pay. Literally, I would be there trying to pay not only for me but for them, and by that time they'd already paid for my meal. And it was just honestly the nicest, friendliest people. The beaches as well were fantastic. The landscapes, the big, what I'm talking about, the big green mountains with trees and just jungle and waterfalls. And honestly, Langkawi, I could talk about it all day. I think you can tell Langkawi's not paying me to say this, but honestly, that was the place I actually ended up going back. So I went there initially for 1 week, and I said, all right, I can't come back to Langkawi because if I do, I won't leave. And it just happened to make sense because I was in Thailand, I was in Koh Lipe, I could literally see Langkawi over there. I was like, I need to go there again. And then I ended up staying for another 8 or 9 days.
8 or 9 days. Oh, I
And
feel like
honestly, I had to go. I had to get out of there. Otherwise, I would have just stayed because I just absolutely loved it so much. And I remember leaving was gutting, saying goodbye to all my friends. The night before was just horrible. It was, that was the saddest moment of my whole year of traveling because they're just the nicest people you can possibly imagine, Ben. But that's Langkawi. I could talk about it all day. I'm not going to. We've got a limit on this. But,
no, it is a very beautiful island. Yeah,
have you seen?
I was there, but unfortunately, it was raining a lot. I was there in
Oh,
rainy season, so
yeah.
we didn't do too much. I remember I climbed up all those steps.
Is that where the is it the Sky Cable is? Is that? Are we thinking?
It might be. I couldn't even tell you. This was 5.5 years ago now. So,
Well, I'm
but
glad you've been to Langkawi then. You know what I mean. I know it was obviously raining, which is a shame, but in my opinion, I thought it was still nice even while it was raining.
no, it has a nice vibe there, and I also met some really cool people. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, it's brilliant. Lots of hostels, lots of hotels, really lovely hotels as well. I mean, if you're looking for luxury travel while in Malaysia, you're probably going to find yourself in either Tioman Island or Langkawi, or the Perhentian Islands as well in Malaysia. To be fair, they were really nice, but very quiet. Have you been to the Perhentian Islands? Ah, they were nice, but very, very quiet. There were more cats on the island than there were people,
Well,
which
that sounds
isn't a bad thing.
nice.
Not a bad thing. It's definitely not a bad thing. But yeah, no, I say that just the whole of Malaysia, honestly. My favorite country, my favorite island is in Malaysia. I could talk about it all day. So we're going to move on quickly from Langkawi. Come back to that another time. My second favorite place, I really enjoyed Phu Quoc in Vietnam. That was just, yeah, really, really cool place. Phu Quoc is an island at the bottom of Vietnam, again in the Gulf of Thailand, very close to Koh Rong, which again I'd say Koh Rong is probably my third favorite place. That's obviously Cambodia. The only thing that kind of let Koh Rong down, I would say, is the price. Now, of course, as I mentioned earlier, I was in Koh Rong for a little while, and just for making friends and stuff, and for going out quite a lot more than I was in any of the other places because of the friends that I was making that were making me make these decisions I wouldn't usually make. And I think in the 3 weeks across Koh Rong, I spent £900, which compared to the rest of my trip, when I tell you how much I spent later on in the call, you'll see what I mean. £900 for a couple of weeks is a lot out of my budget. And it was just because everything on the island is, of course, imported. And not only is it imported to Koh Rong, but it's also had to be imported to Cambodia. They don't make any of these foods or drinks in Cambodia. By the seams of it, is all imported from Thailand or Vietnam.
What kind of food and drinks?
Well, we're talking, to be honest with you, mainly Western stuff, because there was no street food on Koh Rong either. Literally, it's just hotels and hostels along the beachfront. It's great. It's the most paradise island you'll ever see. Gorgeous place, but because it's just so deserted, it's not like there's an abundance of people stood out the front of these resorts or down it. There's no strips or anything. It's just an island and two islands, and both the same. There's no strips. There's parties happening. There's places to eat, but they're just restaurants. And when the burger and chips, which has double the amount of calories in than, I don't know, chicken and rice or a pho, when that's actually cheaper than the local food because there's less ingredients that have had to be imported, I'm going to be honest with you, Ben, I'm going for the burger and chips. You know what I mean? It's just, I love local food, but I also love the price of local food. When local food is a good price, I'm going for that Western option, I'm afraid. I have to say it. It just is, it is what it is. That's what I had to do. So that's what made that island so expensive. I mean, even just a can of Coke was £2.50.
What?
This is what I'm talking about. It was a lot. Whereas other places in Thailand and in Malaysia, a can of Coke was 20p. To be honest with you, I think the good thing about it was good for me teeth. That was the good thing about Koh Rong. I was drinking a lot of water, and there again, they're charging, even just to use a water fountain, they're charging you 50p a bottle just to fill up your water. It's so expensive, but it's all tourists. And if you're going to the tourist hotspots, you've got to expect to be paying that premium, knowing that there's not going to be many locals there at all. And I think the good thing is, if there were any locals there, they'd get a reduced rate, because they can differ the tourists from the locals, of course. So there's that. I really enjoyed Hong Kong. That was very. Have you been to Hong Kong before?
I've been to Hong Kong now.
Fair enough. Hong Kong was very different, but it was also very homely in that, of course, I know you're not meant to talk about it, but Hong Kong also used to be a part, or it used to be owned. It was a colony, right? It was part of the UK.
Why are you not meant to talk about it?
They say you're not meant to talk about it because my great aunt Julie lives in Hong Kong. I actually met up with her while I was visiting, and I kept asking about like the history, and she was like, "You have to keep it down. Like, you're not meant to talk about." I don't know what it is. There's like some friction there that Hong Kong is supposed to be forgotten. That once upon a time it was British owned. It was British. I don't know why. It's obviously something to do with China. That must be what it is, that they don't like talking about it. You're not obviously on a podcast, it's all right. But if you're in Hong Kong, don't mention Britain. They don't like hear it, even though it seems like half the people living there are British expats. I was actually visiting my friend James as well, who I play tennis with. We had a good couple of games of tennis while I was out in Hong Kong. And I just loved like how just amazing it was. Like it was like it was so overstimulating, but in a good way. I'm just imagining it now. You picture, you come out of the metro station and you're just buildings everywhere, whether you're in the central, whether you're in Kowloon, whether you're in Kennedy Town, which is where I was staying, no matter where on Hong Kong Island, it was just so amazing. I had a great time in Hong Kong. And my fifth and final favorite place, God, I thought about the top three.
More, no?
Say again?
I think you have two more, no?
I've given 4. Langkawi, Phu Quoc, Koh Rong, Hong Kong. That's 4. I need to think of one more on the spot. I could just say China because it was different, but I was uncomfortable in China, I'll be honest. We can talk a bit more about that after as well. Obviously, the incident with the female I've told you about already that went quite viral. And also, no one speaks English there. But I don't speak Chinese. So to be honest, I'm going to be just as much of a nuisance as them not speaking English is to them.
You could very, because I had another guest on recently who had a similar experience, that it was very difficult to find someone who spoke English.
They don't, and they use a app that isn't Google, because of course Google's just banned there. You can use a VPN, but all VPNs invalidate the Wi-Fi. So your only way is to then use an eSIM, and the eSIMs in China are so expensive. I'm telling you, it's like £3.50 per gigabyte of data. And I don't know what it is, but eSIM data just gets eaten up like there's no tomorrow. I was going through like 3 gigabytes of data a day just to contact my family or just to upload a TikTok. It was absolutely absurd. I uploaded a 37-second long TikTok and refreshed my eSIM app before. And then afterwards, it had gone down a gigabyte just to upload so it cost me £3 just to upload a 37-second long TikTok. And I wasn't even getting paid from that TikTok, because in order to get money from the rewards program, it needs to be a 1-minute video. But 1-minute videos were taking 2 gigabytes of data. It was absurd, the amount of data that it was taking up.
Why did the VPNs not work with Wi-Fi? Because I thought that's what people do.
I honestly don't know. It was so frustrating. The only app that would work with my VPN switched on and Wi-Fi was WhatsApp. But WhatsApp works on the smallest bit of Wi-Fi, doesn't it? It does not. I think per message is like a megabyte of data to send. Whereas, of course, if you're looking to go onto TikTok or YouTube, or that was the other thing as well, changing or uploading descriptions to my YouTube. I couldn't upload any videos. I did not have the data capacity for that. But to change descriptions as well, I was having to go onto my eSIM, turn off the Wi-Fi, get on the VPN, and even that, just 10 minutes uploading a description, follow me on Instagram, putting that on there again. It was like half a gig of data gone down the drain just to do that. It was stressful. So I couldn't say China was my favorite place. It's different.
Would you like to go back?
I don't think I'd go back to where I went in China. No, I went to a place called Hainan, which is an island, again, right next to Vietnam, right at the very bottom of China. It's almost not even China. It is China, but it's like not on mainland China. Hong Kong is more mainland China than Hainan, but it's owned by China. It is China. It's a place called Sanya that I stayed for a little while. And yeah, I don't think I'd go back there again, if I'm honest with you. I was the only British guy on the island by the seams of it. I didn't see a single other British person. I met these two girls one was from Algeria, and one was she was actually Chinese but living in Holland, she had been living there for most of her life. And yeah, she said, there are no English people here. You're the only one. They'd been there for a few weeks. They hadn't seen anyone else that was English. And I just asked around, do you see any British people here? No. The amount of photos I was having, selfies, and just people taking photos from the distance, I felt like some kind of celebrity. Yeah. And I definitely wasn't. But that's just what it's like in China. So I'd love to go to Beijing and Shanghai and Guangzhou. There's also another place. I'm trying to think of where it is. It's Macau. Have you ever heard of Macau?
Yeah, like the gambling place.
It's like Hong Kong, but not. It's another province. It's part of ROC, a bit like Taiwan as well, which I was meant to go, but I had the wrong visa, which is that's another story. We can go into it later on if you have to.
What problems have you had?
Not too many. It was coming toward. Do you want me to be honest with you? It was coming towards the end of the trip, and that's where the problems was beginning to happen, because I was just getting very lazy. The problem is as well, you know, through Southeast Asia, it's so laid back. If you turn up to the airport with the wrong document, or you turn up with something incorrect, they're just going to shrug it off and go, oh, go through anyway. Whereas with China, that is not the case. So with China, when I was trying to leave Sanya to go to Taiwan, I turned up and I had a flight going via a place called Xiamen with Xiamen Air. And because for that transit, you need to have a visa, which needs to be approved 48 hours in advance, because I turned up to the airport without it, they sent me on my way, basically. And I had to just book. That's when I then just booked straight to Hong Kong.
So for that island, do you not need the normal visa that you need for China? The island
you don't need. So Hainan, you don't need a visa. It's a thing called a 59 countries allowance.
Okay.
So you're basically allowed to track. If you're from one of 59, which the UK is, you don't need a visa to go to Hainan, and you don't need a visa to go to Taiwan either. But you do need a visa to transit through mainland, which Xiamen is.
The 4-day transit visa, no?
So I'm not too sure what one, but whatever it is, this was 6.5 months into my trip. I was getting lazy. I was getting just shrugging my shoulders at everything, just going with the flow, basically, because that's what it felt like across Southeast Asia. But I wasn't in Southeast Asia anymore. I was in China. And as you can imagine, they take it a bit more seriously than they do in Indonesia or the Philippines. And it took me getting to that airport to realize that. So they took me to a room. They questioned me several times. They were filming on a little GoPro camera as well. It was it was all over me having not having a visa, and I was going to break the law and all this stuff. It was all through that Translate app as well. Yeah. So it was very stressful, we could say, but it just goes to show, no matter how long you've been traveling, you gotta be screwed on with all the different rules and regulations. I was just getting lazy, Ben, to be honest with you. I was in the mindset of being in Thailand still, where it's just the land of smiles. You're allowed to do what you like, say what you like, and turn up to the airport without a visa. The right visa.
Well, I think but that isn't a thing, that we do have a level of privilege that we don't really have to think about it much. With a British passport,
that's what it is. The British passport privilege. We really do take that for granted sometimes.
I still have my red passport.
Which one?
I still have
The
my
red
red,
one,
but yeah,
the old one. You need to get a new. I
yeah.
need to get a new passport. Look at this.
I
When
don't
I
want a blue one.
when Boris said about a beautiful blue passport, that's not very beautiful, is it? The front's come off because of all the being in my backpack. It's not ideal, isn't it? So I guess it's. I'm not going to be in a hurry to pay £75 for a new one until they tell me I need one.
No, me either. And I want my red one. I'm a European. I don't want a bloody blue passport.
I remember that. It's so funny how that all changed. That passport's 3 years old, so I guess we'll have to see what happens with that. But yeah, I'm going to keep my blue one for now
Maybe
while I
we should
can.
get back into the EU.
Say again.
I would love to see us get back into the EU. That would be amazing.
We'll have to see. I mean, some of the agreements that have been going through recently, I'm sure you've heard. Obviously, Starmer's been in the news a bit lately. Not to get too political, but it sounds very. I mean, some of the changes that are going to be made for Brits, especially like going abroad and stuff, is going to be a bit more like the simpler times back when we were in the like going through the same gates as the EU will be handy for traveling. But I guess for whatever reason, there's definitely other benefits and negatives for with or without the EU, isn't there?
I don't
Uh,
really see any positives being outside of the EU, to be honest with you. But
To be honest with you, I'm not. I don't know enough. I was too young to vote when the EU thing happened, and to be honest with you, it didn't really. I mean, obviously, it does bother me now. Like what's going on. I'd like to, all the politics that happens, I keep an eye on, but
Mhm.
politics that I could simply not even affect at that age. 2016, that was 9 years ago. I was 15, 14, 15. I couldn't vote. So I wasn't going to take too much time worrying about something I couldn't impact anyway.
It's
Uh,
understandable. But for example, now, would you like the idea of being able to live in Europe in different places?
100%.
Yeah.
Spain. Estudiando español en mi tiempo libre. So I learned the Spanish, and well, I'm learning Spanish very slowly right now. I've got to be honest. I used to be very, very on it with the Duolingo and watching YouTube with, my notebook that I have and writing down different things and, circling parts of different words and, accents and stuff, learning it all. But since traveling Asia, I definitely have. I'm hoping now I'm going to South America in a few weeks. I'll be able to pick some of that up. Although it's different Spanish, it's not Spain Spanish. So it's like Caro, Coche, you know what
It's
I mean? There's so many
Spanish.
different ways.
It's the
Say
better.
again?
It's the better Spanish.
Yeah, I think so. I've been told it's easier. I've got some Colombian friends from America, from my camp, and yeah, they've told me that the South American Spanish is easier to learn. So we'll have to see how that goes when I get there.
It depends where. It depends where, because obviously they all have their own ways of talking. They all have their own words.
Yeah,
But in general, yeah, I think it's a little bit better, easier.
it's all the
So
accents, isn't it?
yeah, it's a lot of accents, but you'll get used to it. So
Yeah.
so tell me about this upcoming trip then.
So camp. So obviously, I quit my job a year ago, knowing that I wanted to pursue this YouTube and TikTok and making videos and just enjoying life. And how I saw it, how I saw it a year ago, is I'd never been away from home for more than 2 weeks before. I'd never experienced life outside of the UK longer term. And I just thought, I play tennis. I thought perfect opportunity. I saw a job advert online for tennis coaching at a camp in America, play 6 to 8 hours a day and, work with the kids. And I thought, I'll give it a go. It's an 8-week camp. I'll give it a chance. And I went to it wasn't actually the job. It was just for an agency, just to kind of get in with the agency. And then they'll start submitting you to certain camps. And I asked them not to submit me to any camp. I just said, let me come to this open day in London. And yeah, when I was there, I went with my friend Matt, who I went to Mexico with. And it was while we were in Mexico, we both kind of decided that we wanted to, look at going traveling or doing something. And I mean, you always have these thoughts at the end of your holidays, don't you? You're standing on the balcony looking out to the sea, thinking, how can I make this life? This is not good for 2 weeks. We want this forever. So anyway, we went to this camp fair, and was walking around just asking about tennis coaching jobs, and they were all, giving out offers and money and saying about offers of how much money they'd pay, not just giving out cash, unfortunately. And I was walking around, and I had a guy come and tap me on the shoulder and was like, have you accepted any offers yet? I was like, oh no, just speaking to people. And he was like, can you come with me? I got someone that wants to speak to you. I was like, okay. And yeah, basically the camp which I work at, I'm not going to name the exact one, but the camp that I work for now, they heard that I was looking for a job in tennis, and they wanted to speak to me about it. I showed them like videos of me playing and stuff, and yeah, there we kind of got the job there. And then I went out last year, it was May 31st. I flew to Florida, went to Miami and Orlando before with Matt, who's obviously the guy I went to Mexico with. And then we went to Atlanta, then flew to New York, and then got the bus into Pennsylvania. And yeah, I worked there last year for 8 weeks. Had a great time playing tennis and, living with the kids. And it's just the Camp America experience. I imagine you've met somebody before that's been at Camp America. Have you?
I don't think so, no.
You've never met anyone from that's crazy work. Because for me, I've met so many people now since I've been backpacking. Oh yeah, I did it in like 2007 or did it in 2018 before COVID. It's like, it's crazy that you haven't. But I knew I wanted to do something to experience life outside of the UK with relevance to what I enjoy, with being tennis. And yeah, after last year's, I fell in love with it. Stayed in touch with all my friends and the directors, and they offered me while I was out in the Philippines to come back for more money. They're going to pay for my flight this year as well, and my visa, and just having everything sorted. And I couldn't say no with the increased salary and the experience I had last year. I had to go back. So I'm going back to Pennsylvania in about 25 days. I can't wait, Ben. Honestly, it's the most enjoyable period. You can imagine music playing everywhere, kids just absolutely loving, playing tennis and doing all these other activities. They're so excited that everyone's so filled with joy. And it's just an experience. It's hard to describe. I just suggest anyone watching that's on the fence about going to camp in America, I definitely recommend it. I could not have enjoyed it more, and that's why I have to go back. And it's funny because while I was at camp, I was thinking the whole time about going to Asia after, because that's why I was there. It was like a practice run. So I was thinking the whole time, oh, camp, Asia, while I'm there. And then when I was in Asia, it was reversed. I was thinking, oh, well, I'm going back to camp in 10 months. Every time I'd go on a kayak, it would remind me of that I'm going back to Pennsylvania. Every time I play tennis, it would be, oh, I'm going to go coach again soon. It's like, I just love camp. And yeah, I have to go back. It just makes so much sense to go back while I'm young as well. I'm 23 and can get away with it. And yeah, as I say, maybe I'll go back next year. I don't really know. It really depends on what the pennies are looking like. If I've got the money, I'll go. If not, we'll have to see.
Is that kind of the cutoff point that people usually have? They don't really go like 24, 25 is the oldest you kind of go and work there.
No, I mean, I made a friend last year who's 28. So, I mean, there's definitely, they're sticking out like sore thumbs, don't get me wrong. By that point, unless they're directors, it is a little bit like, should you not have done this 5 years ago kind of thing. I'm definitely getting to the point now as well where, like, unless I was to take like a director role at this camp, can I go back in 3 years' time? Probably not. So I'm thinking this year or next year, unfortunately, probably would be my last. But again, I'm not really thinking about the age right now. I'm more thinking about how much money have I got coming in? Am I earning enough around the year to be able to sustain myself throughout those 3 or 4 months in America? Because it's not just, obviously, it's great that you get your food and your accommodation and your salary, but then you've also got to factor in the days off that you've got to fund. You've got to fund the travel. You've got to get to camp. Yeah, okay, you get a flight reimbursement, but what if the flights shoot up in price? They're not going to give you more money for that reimbursement. Do you know what I mean? It's a small contribution to the flight. So again, for me, it is just money. If I've got the money and can afford to go, I'll go. If not, we'll have to look at where do we go next. And I guess if we spoke earlier before the call about possibility of Australia, if camp can't happen next year, Australia will. I want to work down under, work holiday visa on a farm or doing something where I get some time off so I can still make my videos as well. But I guess it really just depends what the pennies are saying, how much money we've got left.
Yeah, Australia is a very good country to work in. You know, I loved it. Spent nearly 3 years there.
Wow.
And it was during the pandemic. I know it was a different situation, but it's a good life. It really is a good life. You can avoid the winter if you want. You can be in the sun all year round. Beautiful places. It has everything, and there's people from all over the world. So that's another big positive. But you're also not only limited to Australia. You know, I don't know if you know all the countries, but for working holiday, we can do Australia, New Zealand, Japan, Hong Kong, I think, Taiwan, Canada. Now we have new agreements with Iceland, Andorra, Monaco as well. Strange
Wow.
one.
That
Uruguay.
is very expensive, Monaco, though. I'm not sure if I can afford that.
Well, it's a working holiday visa, so you could work, but I don't know how easy it is to find a job or a place to live. So
Yeah, sure. Well, that's exciting. I never even considered that, to be honest with you. I just thought Australia is the. I mean, that's the goal. I mean, I've known about Australia for my whole life. I've watched Wanted Down Under with my mum since I was 5. I've watched I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here since I was 10. I've always known about Australia, so I think that's why it's like the goal. And I guess I can like relate to a lot of people that have also been and done, like yourself, have been to Australia, done Australia, worked in Australia for, many years. And it's something that I can definitely, see myself also following that path. And how can I turn that into content as well will be what I'm, considering. Because although my channel right now is Matt Goes Global, I go everywhere. Perhaps someday it will be Matt Goes to Australia. We never know. We have to just see where we end up. But whatever it is, as I said to you before, like these videos that I'm making, it's not for monetary gain. It's genuinely for now as like a hobby. I really enjoy doing it, and I enjoy watching back, all the memories that I've made. A lot of people, they journal while they're traveling. They write, pages after pages about what they did in a day. I don't need to do that. If I want to see what I did on the 16th of December last year, I can just log on to my videos, onto my channel, and have a look. And it's like that.
yeah.
I want to carry that with me no matter where I go, and if I can grow a big follower base as well, I'm not going to say no to it. You know what I mean?
Do you do any writing?
I mean, a little bit, not a lot, not enough. Yeah, there's definitely not. More like just writing down. If I was going to be like doing like a voiceover on a video, I'd write down like what I did in that day so I could remember it when I do the voiceover. But I'd avoid that. If I'm honest with you, not enough was I writing while I was traveling. My handwriting is not great, if I'm honest. But the only way you're going to get better is if you practice.
Yeah.
So maybe that's something I'll try and set aside a bit more time for next time as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things, and this is another big topic in itself about maintaining routines when you're traveling, because it's very complicated. I think there is a level of, well, how do I use my time between how do I use my time productively and how do I enjoy, and how can you combine those things as well?
So important. And I was saying to my parents all along, if I wasn't making my videos, I don't know if I would have coped with traveling for such a long time. If I didn't have that structure in my day, yeah, it was a bit frustrating. Sometimes I'd, make friends with a group on a tour during the day and they'd invite me out for drinks in the evening, and sometimes I'd go, but sometimes I'd turn that down. I wouldn't go, just so I could remain consistent with my plan. I had a plan, I have an ambition, I have a goal, and I know what I've got to do and what I've got to do to stick to it. And if I don't, then am I going to leave feeling like I've made the most of my time while being there? And I guess having that structure definitely allowed me to come home feeling like I'd accomplished what I wanted to do, And now, Christ, we've got videos on the channel, as I said earlier, until, I mean, that one's September, but there's videos till like next February. So I could just chill at home for the next year, and hopefully a video might go off. It might go viral. You never know. If it doesn't, I have fun doing it in the process, regardless.
Yeah. Are you planning on making content whilst you're in camp? Are you allowed to?
You can on your days off, and to be honest, I will, because where my camp is it's in Pennsylvania. It's about an hour's drive to a place called Scranton, in Pennsylvania. That you might know The Office.
Of course.
Scranton is there. So it could be an opportunity. We get 1 day off a week where we go off camp. We can go to enjoy the local places with our friends. I guess it really also depends. Like, you know, if I make a big group of friends again, as I did last year, will I want to make content on my days off? My point is, right now, I'm making so much out of the videos that I made in Asia that
Mhm.
even if I don't find the time or the energy to make videos whilst in America, it's not the end of the world, because I've already got those videos until next year anyway. And of
Mhm.
course, from camp, I'm going straight down to Chile, and then going to work my way up from Chile into, or I think it's Peru, and then Ecuador, Colombia, and then into Central America. So I want to do like all of Panama and Nicaragua and El Salvador, San Salvador, whatever, all the way up into Mexico. And then, well, I'm flying home in early December. So
Okay.
I've obviously, yeah, I'm going to be out of the country again for another 6 months. But I think it's, yeah, in that time after camp alone, I'm going to be daily vlogging again. I'm going to have enough content to get me to like 2027. So
But
it's,
be a very intense couple of months going from Chile all the way to Mexico.
it really will, but I can't. I'm so here for it. I'm living for this moment. You know, in every country that I tick off is just such a great feeling that I get inside. It's just I mean, I don't know how many countries you've been to now. I've been to 27, and it's like that's not a lot, but I want to just see that number going up and up and up. I was meeting people. I was traveling. Were like, oh yeah, I've done 84 countries. What about you? And I'm like, 24. And it's like, oh God, this is, you know, but we all have
It's very relative because you talk to people from where we're from and they've maybe been to 5. Maybe they've never even left the country.
exactly.
They
No,
think
you're absolutely right.
they hear us, they hear you say 27. For me, I think I'm at 32 now, and like they think, wow, you've seen so much. But for us, because we've seen so much, we know how big the world is. I
It's
mean,
huge.
I still get surprised every time. Like every time, wow, this world is such a big place.
Yeah,
Really, really such a big place. And
crazy.
I want to keep exploring too. But for me, yeah, those 32, it feels like it's just scraping the surface of what there really is.
The problem is as well, I keep going to the same places. So if I was really like my life goal, I want to do all 193 countries, UN recognized 193 places. I want to have ticked off.
Oh,
Say again.
isn't that 197?
I think it's UN recognized 193 and 195, because Taiwan and Hong Kong aren't countries, nor is Macau. It's all to do with China. They're the ones that aren't. ROC is the recognized country, but then you got the small little places that, like Macau and Hong Kong, those are the ones that make it higher than it actually is. I don't know. I think there's even 200. I'm not even too sure. But
Yeah.
I want to go to all the UN recognized countries by the time I'm in my 80s or 90, whatever it is, if we get there. Fingers crossed, touch wood. But that's of course the aim. And the problem is that, you know, I've been to Mexico 3 times, been to Dominican Republic twice, I've been to America 20 times, I've been to Malaysia 4 times. It's like I'm going to the same place because I had a great time last year. I'm going again. It's like that. If I was that keen to get that number up, I wouldn't be going back to camp in America. I'd be
Mhm.
going to straight to South America. So I had time to do all the countries, but I'm not. I'm kind of taking it in baby steps, because, you know, life might be short, but if you break it down, we have got quite a lot of time, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Like in this year alone, I've been to 14 countries. So it's like there's time. You know, we have got time.
But I must say, you are missing the best country in South America,
Which is,
Argentina.
I want to go there next year. After it, this is the thing. I'm gonna have to work out, regardless of whether I go to camp again next year. I'm going back to South America because
Mhm.
that's what I've decided. I'm coming home in December from South America. By that point, I would have had to have signed my contract and got the visa rolling for camp next year. So if
Okay.
I decide actually, now 2 years at camp's enough, I don't really want to go back next year. Rather than going back to Asia in 2026, I'll be going straight back to South America, right down the very bottom, Uruguay, Paraguay, Argentina, Brazil, and all the ones along the top as well, like
Well, you,
Suriname. Say
oh,
again.
you want to go to Suriname and Guyana and
I'll go to all of them.
yeah.
All of them. There's not a single country I want to leave unless it's red on the UK's government's thing. Because of course, if you go, you can go, but if you get into any trouble there, they're like, "We told you so." So I'd
It,
rather just stick.
is Venezuela red at the moment?
I think so. I won't
Uh,
be. I'm not planning on going there right now.
mm. For me,
I don't know.
that's the country that I want to visit the most in the world.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The only problem is if there is any difficulty, it's like the government would have said they'll say, "Oh well, we told you so," and that's
Really?
the thing. It kind of invalidates any kind of insurance, and it's like I'd rather just not risk it right now. I'd rather go, because eventually, 50 years down the line, whenever I'd like to go to Russia, I'd like to go to I want to go to every country when it's possible to go. I mean, people say, why would you go? Why would you want to go there? Well, we visit Germany. Germany is one of my favorite countries. It's like wars that took place many years ago. When it's moved on and finished, eventually I would like to go to Russia. I'd like to go to Ukraine. I'd like to go everywhere. I'd like to go to every country all around the world. There's nowhere that, as long as it's peaceful and as long as it's safe, I'll go. I'm literally trying to tick it off.
But what do you think about places where that situation might never change? For example, North Korea. Like, we might never see a united Korea or an open North Korea.
You see, that's the thing as well, because I'm already thinking next year when I go back to Asia, I want to go to South Korea, and at very, very least, I want to go to the
The
border.
DMZ,
Is it there? There's a word. There's a few letters, isn't it?
demilitarized zone, the DMZ.
DMZ. I want to go there. So I want to again go, but safely. I want, like, my friend Cavan's just gotten back. He went to the DMZ, and it's like he was okay. So if I go in a year, I'll be okay.
I'm with the DMZ. There's no problem, but you're not getting the experience of going to the country, though.
No. To be honest with you, like right now, with what I know about North Korea, what I see about it online, it's not first on my list.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? It's somewhere that I want to say I've been eventually, but it's like if I don't get to go there for the next 30 years, it's not going to keep me up at night. Do you know what I mean? Whereas South Korea, I'm sat here right now thinking I was so close to Seoul. I was so close to Japan as well. I was literally Hong Kong. I could have flown to Fukuoka in Japan in an hour and a half, and I didn't. And it's like now I'm like kicking myself. I could have ticked off Japan, could have done this one, could have done that one, and I didn't. Whereas North Korea, I don't really have that same. It's not keeping me up at night. Put it
Yeah.
that way. Maybe one day, if it definitely has a bit of a different feel to it. But as I said, 70, 80 years ago, you wouldn't have so freely wanted to go to Germany either. And now it's, for me, Germany's one of my favorite countries. To go back to what you said probably about an hour ago about would I want to live anywhere in the EU? Definitely. I mean, first of all, Spain would be my first pick for the weather's perspective. But in terms of, just cleanliness, I assume, have you been to Germany before?
I've been to Germany a couple of times. Yeah.
So some of my favorite places in Germany, like Cologne, Bonn, and a place called Immenstadt, which is on the bottom where the Lake Constance is. You can see across to Liechtenstein and Switzerland. These are some of the cleanest places I've
Yeah.
ever seen in my life. And I would love to live there one day if it made sense financially, if I could get a job there or, whatever the situation may be with the EU, I would live.
Well, at the very least, we should be getting the youth mobility scheme. So hopefully that will give us at least a couple years of movement.
Absolutely. I think they were saying that's for under 30s, isn't it? So hopefully that will.
35, yeah. No, but I think that should be happening this year, maybe in the next couple of years latest. So
Yeah.
we'll definitely be able to do it before we're 30.
That's really good. No, I'm glad to hear, because that's definitely something that I'd look to do. I think as well, like for me, being so far away from home and being on such a different time was what got so lonely while I was in Asia, and what really made me think, like, long term, could I ever go on a one-way flight with no ambition to ever come back? I'm not too sure right now, just based on my experience of being alone. Perhaps when I, have another girlfriend or a wife and start, looking to settle down and have a family, that might be different. But
Mhm.
while I'm alone, there's no ambition to go one way with no plan of coming back right now anyway. As much as the UK's winter doesn't make me happy, I think that gap is filled with my family and friends as well. And being home now, and like even tennis as well, like the tennis community is like, it's really filled my heart since being home and made me realize, like, there is a reason to come back, and not just the weather. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? There is things here that keeps me here as well. So we'll have to see. But I guess being in only Germany or in Italy or in Spain,
it's not
you're not
far.
that far away. You can get on a Ryanair flight, 20 quid, once inflation's gone back down, hopefully. It's not right now. I mean, like, you might remember back in the Hollywood Bowl days, I was taking day trips to Europe. Do you remember?
I remember.
It's like that's, you can't really do that anymore. It's not for I was taking £5 flights to Dublin or to Madrid, and it's like you just can't do that anymore.
What's
It's
the
that.
cheapest you see a flight for? Like 20 quid.
Say again, sorry.
What's the cheapest you can see a flight for? Like 20 quid now. They don't have anything much less than that.
I'm not sure. I imagine probably not much less or more than that. No, I imagine that, and that's before you factor in the bags or your seat allocation or your food or boarding. It's like
I don't pay for any of that.
Ryanair don't want you to have anything for free these days. It's like, yeah, you get in a crash, you get, you have to pay for the mask.
Yeah.
It's just a crazy business model, but it works. Ryanair's the most profitable airline in the UK for a reason. It
Mhm.
works. Their way works. So yeah.
So, whilst you're in Europe right now, you're not visiting any other places. You're just
Not
staying in the
not
UK.
really. Not just staying here in Hearts. I mean, I'm obviously going to Norfolk in a few weeks with my family, just for just a nice break by the sea. We're going to go on the Broads. We're going to hire out a boat and go on there for the day, and take my dog as well. But apart from that, I had a couple of, like, people that I met along the way saying, "Come visit me in Germany, or come to Sweden, come and see us. We'll show you around." It's like, I've kind of kept those offers at an arm's length right now, because, to be honest with you, Ben, I'm genuinely really enjoying being home, just for a bit of time anyway. I know that novelty will wear off eventually, but right now I am really enjoying being back and seeing friends and family again, and having something to look forward to every day, which is like, I mean, don't get me wrong, you're doing the same while traveling. You've got things to look forward to. But
Mhm.
tomorrow I'm going out for lunch with my mate Chris. On Sunday I'm going for a hike with my friend Cam, who I went around America with last year. It's like, right now, because I'm back, there's just something happening every day, something to look forward to. And I guess while that's the case, the novelty won't wear off. But as soon as that slows down, it's like, oh, I'm back again. That's when I'm going to be looking at getting out of here and
Yeah.
going on our way again.
It's part of the process, man, and it's good that you're enjoying now. Enjoy that time to rest and make the most of it. Yeah, because I know you're going to be back in December. You already have that planned out,
Yeah.
but after that, you don't know. You don't know how big your next trip will be. And for me, for example, I've been going 2.5 years now, nearly again.
Not been in the UK at all in that time.
No, I left in January 2023.
Wow, that's crazy. I mean, I don't know if you've got any plans to come home, but you must have that in the back of your mind, that that's something to look forward to, right?
Yeah, I mean, my nephew was born in November, so now my little niece, who was she just turned 1 when I left. She's now 3.5,
Wow.
and my nephew, he's 6 months old. So
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully in the nearish future, I'll be back and I'll get to spend some time with them.
You're going to
But
be that cool uncle that's always traveling.
yeah, that's the plan. But there is the other side to that it, in some ways, it is sad being far away. They're growing up so quickly. Of course, I can see them through the phone, but it's not quite the same. So
I completely agree. And that's for me, not to rub it in, but that's what I like about being home, because the FaceTime calls were regular, but it's not the same, as you know. And that's, sometimes you'd put the phone down and then, not saying your day would be ruined by any means, but it would definitely, the excitement on being with the FaceTime with your friends and family is great. But then when that phone stops, you're like, oh, and it's like crickets because you're so far away. You're on an island in the middle of the South China Sea or wherever you are. It's like it's mentally challenging, and I really respect that you've been away for so long now. Because to be honest with you, I don't know how I could do that. To be honest, I hope maybe one day I can prove myself wrong. But having been out of the UK, I mean, I've been traveling now a year, but of course had a short 2-week break in that time, back in September.
were you in the UK in September?
Say again.
Did you go back after camp last time you went back to the UK for a
Yeah.
camp?
So after camp last year, I traveled around America, did like 20 of the states, which was just awesome. Came home for a week, went to Morocco with my brother for a couple of days, came home for another week, went to Dominican Republic with my friend Max. We'd had that booked for months anyway. And then came home for like 3 or 4 more days, and then I was off to Asia. So it was that week was tough in terms of jet lag, because I'd gone from being like 5-6 hours ahead in the Dominican to then 8 hours behind in no. I'm thinking, let me say it, Greenwich Mean Time, GMT. So I was 5 hours behind in the Dominican, then 8 hours ahead in the Philippines. So within 1 week, I was 13 hours different. It's like it was like breakfast felt like dinner time. It was really, really strange, but it doesn't take you too long to get used to it. It was that was a strange feeling, put it that way.
And what was the longest amount of time you stayed in one place in all of that time?
In terms of place or country?
Place.
It had to be Koh Rong, just like the Koh Rong Islands anyway, because there's one here, one there, and across the both, I was there like nearly 3 weeks, and it was just because of who I was meeting. I was staying in like not party hostels by any means, but I was staying in this thing. It's called the Wonders, and Wonders it's a great little chain. They're very clean, very very respectable hostel chain in Cambodia. And I just met so many great people there. I didn't want to leave, and by the time I actually had to leave, like otherwise I would have had trouble at the border. I wouldn't have been allowed to come back. I'd have paid fines, and that was why I left Koh Rong. But that was about 3 weeks. That was just brilliant.
Well, I know we've only scraped the surface on all your experiences and everything. I know we could go on talking for a lot longer, but I know you also have a meeting to catch in soon.
So got a bit of time now.
Before I ask you the last 3 questions, do you want to ask me anything today?
Yeah, absolutely. I was thinking of how I could drop it in, but like you've asked me about where my favorite places are. I'm really keen to. I've got a notebook at the ready. I'll be writing it down. Where are your top 3 favorite places, Ben? Because I'm interested. You've traveled a lot now. I hear 32 countries. Where are your favorite 3 places?
Well, I just have to put the pin in number 1 being Buenos Aires, Argentina. It's my favorite city in the world. Even I still don't know if I'm exactly a city person or a rural person. Being where we're from is suburban. But Buenos Aires has an energy, the people, the food. It's another world. So beautiful. They've had so much influence from Europe and from the Middle East, and the native origins there in Argentina. Like, it's just a mix of everything. It's a melting pot, and it's my favorite place in the world. It's a place that I really could see myself living at least for. I would like to live there for at least a few years in my life.
Wow, that's really good. I mean, I'm not going to Argentina this year, but now you've said that, that'll be probably the first place I go to next year.
I think it's a good place to start. Yeah,
that's brilliant. But I've heard in terms of South America, a little bit more on the pricier side. Buenos Aires, is that correct?
It wasn't, but now it is. Yeah.
That's what I've heard.
When I first went, it was crazy prices, like one of the cheapest places I'd ever been to. But now it's not. So
It's like kind of switch places with Brazil, is what I've heard. Is that
Kind
like
of,
in terms of cost?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I've been told. Because one of my customers is a investor. He's actually called the Wandering Investor, and
Okay.
I edit his videos for him. And one of the videos I was editing not too long ago was about how Argentina used to be cheap, now is more expensive, but Brazil was the one that used to be expensive and has now gone down a little bit. Like not, half or anything by any means, but it's definitely a cheaper fill there now than it was, or at least influenced by the prices rising in Argentina has made it feel cheaper, if that makes sense in Brazil. So I definitely want to go to both of them.
Yeah, well, you have to. You definitely have to.
Sure.
Where else? I mean, it's a really hard question. It is a really difficult question. I think I would have to say Colombia, but I don't know if I could give you a specific place. I think it's a beautiful
Like
country.
Colombia.
Yeah, it's a beautiful country that is very rich in culture and food. Again, not the best food in the world, but and the landscapes are very beautiful. There's so much to do. If for a lot of people that I've met, it's their favorite country they've been to.
Wow.
For me, it's definitely in the top 5 countries. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
probably maybe second. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that
Wow.
was also my first experience living in a place where they don't speak English.
Yeah.
For the first time in my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I have to give you a third one quickly, it's really difficult. But I feel like I would probably have to. I don't know because I'm torn between maybe Amsterdam. I really love
Okay.
Amsterdam. It was the first place that I went there as an 18-year-old, like for my 18th birthday, and it was
Yeah.
the first time going somewhere without my parents. And it's a beautiful. Have you been to Amsterdam?
I haven't. I've flown with KLM, but I've never actually been into Amsterdam. So I can tell you about the airline, but never. No, I've never been. It's never really appealed to me, to be honest with you. I've had a few like offers. Oh, do you want to come? Do should we look at Amsterdam? And in the end, it materialized into a Tenerife, or just something a little bit more up my street. But
Yeah, I
maybe one day.
I mean, I used to be a big weed smoker, so obviously that was a big thing. And I think if not something so interesting, it's a beautiful city. There's still lots to do, but maybe Rotterdam is better to see.
That's just down the road, isn't it? I've heard.
In the Netherlands, everything's like 1 hour away from.
Yeah, that's what I've been told. I'll definitely do that. I'd like to go to Eindhoven as well. That looks quite pleasant as well. I just think they're all those cluster countries, Belgium, France, Netherlands. They're all quite nice to look at, and I guess to be in the summer at least. Anyway, I'm not sure about the winter.
Yeah, no, the winter is just as bad as ours, I think. So.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
So I would give you those three as my answer, but every place has its charm.
Sure.
The cop out answer, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I appreciate you telling me. That's, I say, Buenos Aires. I'm now very, very interested, and obviously Colombia. I mean, this year I'm going to go to Cartagena. I want to go to Medellin, and I mean, you've got to go to Bogota, even just for a day or two, just to say you've been. I'm going to go. We'll just see how we get on with the journey up.
I'll give you
That's,
my recommend. I'll text you my recommendations after.
please do.
There's some.
Uh,
Really
I'd love to hear it now, but obviously I'm just worried about the time. That's the only thing. We've got 9 minutes.
No
But
worries.
but yeah, do you want to ask those 3 questions? The
Yes.
three?
So the question from the last guest, which you have already answered, I was trying to avoid it a little bit, but
Okay.
so where are you going to be spending your summer? In which continent?
North America. So Pennsylvania, a place called Honesdale. Yeah, I absolutely love it there. I just love America. That's I always have done 24 states and nearly 50%. I'm going to see if there's any way of me going to one of them just to get to 50% this year. Like before I go down to, I haven't booked my flight to Chile yet. So would it be
Okay.
maybe a potential to go down to like Houston and have a day in Texas before, just so I can tick off Texas? That's what I'm
That
going to be doing.
there's a potential that might even be the cheapest way to go to Chile. So
Possibly. That's what I'm going to have a look at. I know there's a big base in Houston for United, so I'm quite sure there'll be a cheaper flight from there than New York anyway. New York to Houston and then on to Chile. That'll be probably a bit cheap.
but I know the flights are very expensive in the US.
They bloody are. Even just flying Spirit, which is like I mean, they nearly went bust last year. I don't know if they've got bought out, I believe, by Frontier. I think I'm not 100% sure. Either Frontier or JetBlue. Even the super low cost flights in America are still like $150 without bags, with nothing, no food, entertainment. It's a shambles. Whereas at least here in the UK, you can fly to Edinburgh for 20 quid.
Yeah,
You can. No bags though, or food, or anything. You stay in the bloody baggage belt, whatever it is, under the plane.
What question would you like to ask the next guest?
The next guest. Oh, that's a great question. God, I wasn't expecting this one. The next question for the next guest. Oh God, Ben, you put me on the spot here, mate. I'm trying to think. A question like that.
Anything. Doesn't have to be
anything.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be related to travel.
Doesn't have to. Oh, okay. I'd still want it to be related to travel in some way. For the next guest, if you had £5,000 and like unlimited time, like you've just quit your job, where would you spend that £5,000? Where would you travel with £5,000, and how long do you think? Oh no, I don't want to make it too complicated, but just where would you go if you have £5,000 a budget for a trip? £5,000, where would you go? That's the question.
That's good. It's a good question. Good. And finally, what message would you like to share in your language?
In English.
In English, yeah.
In English, I just think, I know it's a bit cheesy, but I'm a big believer in that money does return and that time doesn't. We have an unlimited amount of time supposedly, but I mean, even in the hour and a half I've been on the phone with you, it's time we'll never get back. And while that hour and a half is time that, I've enjoyed spending, and I very much hope you have too, I am a believer in absolutely making the most of all opportunities. I was nervous, as in our little chat before and in, our DMs earlier, I was nervous, but I try and grab every opportunity, no matter what it is. I want to take every opportunity I can and what I'm given, and I think you should too, because you never know, not to sound depressing or anything, but you never know when could be the last chance you get. So you might as well fulfill every opportunity to the best of your ability and have no regrets. Make the most of everything. As I said at the beginning, you can get a job if you need one. You can make it work somehow. You've been traveling for 6 years now, Ben. You've made it work. I've been traveling for a year. I've made it work. You can make it work. If you put your mind to it, you can do it. That's my idea anyway. Hopefully I can follow my own advice and continue.
You're doing a great job of it so far, so keep at it.
And thank you so much for having me on it today. I really do appreciate it, and I do feel very bad that I have to wrap it up, but I've only got 4 minutes until a customer call. But it's been a real pleasure, and if there's ever an opportunity, if your audience enjoyed hearing what I had to say, I'd love to have another go. Have a part 2. So I think we could talk, and who knows, perhaps maybe not, wherever we are in the world, from coming to Canada or we're in Buenos Aires, to have a part 2 but in person would be you'll have to, if you ever come back to the UK and I'm here at the same time, we'll have to have a sit down and an in-person part 2. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah, 100%. Well, again, I really appreciate your time, and it's been really cool to hear a little bit of your story. At least I know we haven't covered even that much, but no, really cool to hear your perspectives and to hear what you're doing. So it's been a really nice catch up.
Thank you.
I hope everyone has enjoyed this episode.
Thank you everyone for watching. Just one more thing. Apologies if I do ramble on a bit. I'm quite used to being able to edit how I talk. I'm probably under editing it myself, and I'll cut out a lot of rambling, but we give it the best shot. And Ben, you've been a pleasure to speak to, And I'm so glad it's all working out for you, mate. And again, everyone for watching, we really appreciate it. And make sure you subscribe. He deserves it.
Thank you, and also subscribe to Matt. I'm going to put your channel in the description. I know we
Thank
didn't
you very much.
even too much about what you're doing, but you have some cool content as well. So
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's very kind of you.
thank you, and thank you everyone for listening. This has been episode 32 of Backpacks and Stories.